Good evening, everyone. Tonight's presentation is about the administrative budget, and because this part of the budget has absolutely nothing to do with the Princeton plan and the difference between staying as we are or moving to the Princeton plan. I just did one budget, and it's going to be a very simple one. Again, I want to thank the high school for this beautiful art. So why don't we move on? So first I want to talk about the budget update, and then I'll go into the administrative budget. Next. So we have two new parts for our budget. One that really doesn't matter to us, but is important so I can tell you. And the other one that it's coming for all of us that, we've been around for many years. The way they say it is coming out of the press, and that's the New York State budget. And the way it reads is very simple. If we receive $6 billion, then if you remember, we will reduce between 20 and 5% the school districts in the state of New York. So they will reduce the withholding from 20% to 5% and making that permanent. So the best that we can expect is the reduction that we got. Instead of being 20%, for us it was not 20%, so I really don't know what they are planning to do for us was a lot less than 20%, it was about 5%. So I don't know if that's going to stay or if we get the $6 billion will be reduced 15%, and then that will be permanent. The second point is that part of our state aid is expense-based, meaning, for example, they give us state aid based on the number of students to buy books, to buy software, et cetera, et cetera. So they want to get rid of that and put it in a single block. Now, if the state receives $15 billion, that's what they are talking about in the new $1.9 trillion Act scare, then state aid will be fully restored. And in my presentation last week and in this presentation, I'm assuming that. I'm assuming we will be fully restored. Again, for us, the reduction was only $160,000. So if that's what happens, then we'll have to use a little bit more of fund balance to use for our budget. The second part is that the New York State cap this year is 1.81%. For next year, it's going to be 1.23%, which is the second lowest ever. And again, that's not relevant to our budget because our tax cap is over 7% because of the reduction in pilots from Entergy. So I'm just giving you the information, but again, that doesn't concern to us. Yes.
Enrique, what does it mean when you say, what does it mean financially when there's a consolidation of expense-based aid into a single block? Does that mean that we would get less money for that?
No, no one knows. To tell you the truth, I discussed that with many business officials today because we had the same question and no one knows. But what they are saying, at the end of the day, we don't know if it's going to be more money, less money, the same amount of money, but what they want to get rid of is to say, okay, Henry Hudson has 2,300 students, every student needs a new book, and we're giving you $70 per book. So they are saying, I'm getting rid of that, but we don't know if it's by book of software, and they are saying, okay, for every student, I'm just giving you $200. Or they are just getting rid of the expense base and saying, I don't know, I'm allocating X amount of money to this school district instead of the other one. So that's how it said it. It didn't say anything else what they mean by a single block. But the only thing that everyone is assuming is, again, when we get state aid, it says software aid, X numbers of students at X amount, book aid, like that. So they are saying we're getting rid of that and we're giving you a block, a number, and that's it. But as we hear more, I'll let you know.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Next, please. So again, in our preliminary budget, nothing has changed. I just want to remind you that under the status quo, the budget will increase 3%, under the Princeton Plan 0.7%, and the tax levy will increase 7% under status quo and 4.4% under Princeton Plan. Next. Now we're going to talk about the administrative budget. Next. The administrative budget is divided in three. I'm sorry, the whole total budget is divided in three: program, capital, and administrative. And the administrative is divided in four, the biggest one being curriculum development and supervision, that is 51%, general support is 1%, central services, and central administration. So as you can see, the administrative budget represents only 5.8% of our total budget. Next. So the first part is the general support, which is the Board of Education. Under the Board of Education, we assign some money for the board to get memberships, like in the board membership, to get training for new board members, and for BOCES, like board docs. We also have there the district clerk salary, dues, expenses, and the cost of producing all these meetings. So as you can see, last year, the total part was $25,720. This year is a little bit more, with an increase of $93, or 0.3%. Any questions? No? Next, please. The second part is central administration, and it starts with the Office of the Superintendent. In parentheses, you can see the FTE, the number of people that work in that office. It includes the salary, supplies, equipment, everything, so the superintendent can manage his job. And the increase is $7,000, 1.5%. And the number of people are 2. That means it's the superintendent and his administrative assistant, who is Carmen Koch. Business administration is the business office, that it's under me. I have 4.25 people working with me, including me. And this includes salaries, expenses, and the same as with the superintendent, everything that makes my office work. And the increase there is going to be around $3,000. The next one that it's always been under me, but it's obviously not part of the central administration, but just because of the way we code, is the school resource officer. And it's the same amount as last year. And then finally, the treasurer, auditors, internal and external auditors, our tax that we pay to Peekskill, and that's an increase of about 3%, and the total increase is $16,000, or a 1.1% increase compared to last year. Next, please. Central services includes all our legal costs. Then it includes the personnel department, and that's again 2 people, Laura and Fran. That's an increase of 2.2%. Then we have public relations, and that's the cost to running our district's public relations. Then we have unallocated insurances. And finally, we have our BOCES administrative fees, that those are going to increase about $5,000, with a total of $1,042,000. That is an increase of about 1.8%. And finally, next, we go to the big part, which is curriculum development and supervision. And the first one is the Office of the Executive Director. There we have 2 people, Margaret and Jane. Then we have the cost for running curriculum development that we always assign to Margaret. That number stays the same. And then finally, we have the school building administration, and that includes all the principals and the secretaries for the principals and assistants for the principals. As you can see, the total increase is 2.1%, and most of it is salaries that are contractual, and some equipment and repairs and supplies. I just want to mention that here under school administration, we're not including special ed, we're not including the 3 directors in special ed, and we're not including the secretaries, because we always like to see it in the special ed budget, so you can see the total cost of running our special ed department. Next. And here you have the total administrative budget. I went through all the numbers, but the total number is $5.29 million. That's a $92,000 increase, or a 1.4% increase. And next, again, thank you to the Henry Hudson High School, to all the art students. It's beautiful art. And again, this is a very simple presentation, because like we mentioned last time, it's a rollover presentation, and we're not making any changes compared to this year. Yes. No. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not sure what the BOCES administration, like, what is that line item? What does that include?
The BOCES administrative fee is the cost that the 18 component districts have to pay for BOCES, for Putnam, Northern Westchester BOCES, so they can run as a BOCES. So with that, we help pay for their salaries, for their administrative cost. So the way it works, Alexandra, is that they are like a business in the sense that they provide us with services. But besides that, they also have a superintendent, assistant superintendent, and the 18 component district pay for those expenses for them.
Do we all pay 1/18 of the pie, or do certain districts with more kids?
It's based on a formula, but mainly based on the percentage of the budget of each of us, the wealth of each of us. So it depends on wealth, size, mainly.
So we just get told what we have to pay. We don't really have any control over that number.
Yes, we do. Actually, we do, in the sense that in about month and a half, we'll vote for the BOCES budget. And if the board doesn't like it, the board can say, no, we don't like it, go back and cut it. It has never happened, but yes, we have control.
Okay, very helpful. Thank you. Yeah.
And before it gets to you, the 18 business officials meet with the business official with BOCES, and we discuss it, and it's open, like our budget is open for the community. We have meetings with BOCES, and we tell them what we like, what we don't like. So a year like this year, we might be able to convince them to lower it, to use a little bit more fund balance if they have it. So it's a discussion, like we're having a discussion for our budget.
Does anybody else have questions?
I'll just
All right,
add.
thank you, Enrique.
I'll just add a comment. It's important to underscore that these costs, administrative costs, are the cost to run those offices and operations. So, for example, we spend a significant amount of money on our board elections and having to notice the public. Those costs are in there. Enrique mentioned earlier he's part of the Business Officials Association that has a membership fee. Same with the Superintendents Association or conferences, those sort of things. So it's the all-encompassed package to run those various offices from all of our staff, whether it's a school principal or you name it, the auditor, because there are different requirements that come with those positions beyond just salary and benefits.
Thank you, Joe, for that clarification.